Hi, my name is Mitchell Brown. This is my idea of, in an ideal world, what would the Elder Scrolls 6 look like? I've been inspired to do this by Boofire and Zarek Zakarian. I highly recommend their channels. They put out amazing videos very consistently. I recommend them more than I recommend this. So, let's get started. So, Elder Scrolls 6. I'm going to go through how I think the world should be. First off, the setting, the time is 80 years post Skyrim. Now, this is what I'm going to say happened to the Dragonborn. He went to Cyrodiil, took the Ruby Throne, and this sparked the Second Great War. The Dragonborn is now dead, and his heir sits upon the Ruby Throne. Well, maybe not dead. Disappeared. He left, something happened, and now his son sits upon the Ruby Throne. This son would be the first emperor with some fancy dragon-sounding name. For this new era, this new line of emperors. This would still be in the Fourth Era, because, let's let the era run for another couple hundred years and stick to that for a while. Now, you are in the Somerset Isle. You've been captured. You are in a POW camp. You are being processed. Now, I know I just went into something I said that shouldn't basically apply, but this does. There are 13 POW camps in the Somerset Isle, which is the setting of this game. These POW camps, while outside of the first one aren't necessarily truly important, they are optional in what will be the main quest, as a sort of thing that you can do. Now, I just felt it was right to establish that there are POW camps, and that, this is a world at war. A sort of World War II-ish sort of way, too. So, massive death tolls on both sides. And both populaces are basically terrified of each other. Now, what this means is the predominantly high elven society of, particularly the upper echelon, are paranoid about letting anyone near them, regardless of race, because, hey, there are a few high elves who've sided with the Empire. There are a few humans who've become mercenaries for the high elves. I mean, you can't trust anybody. Except, of course, your closest and most trusted advisors. The regular populace doesn't so much care. They're suspicious of everyone as being an enemy. Of course, as your reputation increases, you find that people are more willing to open up and talk to you. This will also be based. This will also be based on, your charisma and whatnot. But fundamentally, early on in the game, people are noticeably reluctant to talk to you. They don't want to. There are a lot of quests you just can't do because nobody's going to tell you anything. There are sort of introductory quests in each separate city. Now, these cities would be massive on the scale of, Elder Scrolls cities. They'll be closer to Vivec City than, anything else. So these are pretty big places. I mean, ideally that's what it'd be. Now, there'd be sort of introductory into each city quests that you sort of have to do. Just, this is how you get people to talk to you and spread your name throughout the city so that you can start accessing the quests. I know this seems a little restrictive, but I believe it's necessary. So, one of the greatest things I loved about Morrowind was the fact that you couldn't just walk in, spend an hour, and become leader of the faction unless you were already basically statted out to be the leader of that faction. Like, you had to qualify. However, I understand that not everybody, wants to do that, because that's really difficult, and I can understand not wanting to do that. So this is a sort of compromise. You have to prove yourself, but it's not like, but you don't have to get into places, but you don't necessarily have to be a specific build, specific abilities to do it. You just have to, make sure you give off the right impression as you are an adventurer. As such, suspicion, fear, he could be a spy. Because let's face it, 9 times out of 10, your character is a flipping spy in an Elder Scrolls game. Or you're working for the spies, or something. So, with all that said, let's talk about, the creatures in the world. Now, there would occasionally be bandits, but bandits would be few and far in between. You're more likely to run into rogue cultists or, mad wizards than a flippin' guy out to rob you. This is the flippin' Somerset Isle. I mean, come on. Magic is the main sort of theme. The mystical, etc. So, there's that. Then there's the fact that you're going to encounter a lot more varied monsters. Sort of a lot more varied creatures than in Skyrim or Oblivion. Think around the same vein as Morrowind. Now, this would basically be this would basically be the same size with with even more creatures than were in Morrowind. Morrowind is sort of the direction you're going with this. Now, unfortunately, this is the end of part 1. I don't think I was very concise with this and very clear, but as I said, I totally recommend Zarek Zakarian and Boofire's videos on this subject way more than I recommend mine. They are a lot clearer with this than I can be. So, signing off.